What is going on, fellow gamers and cosplayers? Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of MSP. I'm one of your co-hosts, Manny, or sometimes known as that cosplay guy, and today I am at none other than SGC 2014. As you can tell behind me, I'm hanging out in the indie developers area, and today we're checking out this awesome title behind me, We Slay Monsters, and we're going to hang out a little bit with the developers, see what they're all about, and check out all this hype on this awesome game. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your team as well as your game.
Sure. My name is David Ayers. I'm the president of Furiously Inactive Games. We're basically some friends that got together and decided to make a game. So the game is We Slay Monsters, and the idea came about from a game jam I participated in about 5 years ago to develop a roguelike game. So I wanted to do something different, so I took a traditional roguelike game and I thought I'd throw in a card-based mechanic. So it kind of just grew from there, and we've been working on it for several years now, and we're finally ready to take it out to the market.
That's awesome, and just looking at it a little bit here, it definitely, you see some familiar aspects of RPG dungeon crawling, but definitely, like as you introduce the card game aspect, it brings a whole new level to the game itself. In terms of design of the game, about how long would you say it's taken you to get this far?
Well, so this is kind of a side gig for us. So we've been working on the game for about 3 years, nights and weekends. And that sounds like a really long time, but it's about 3 years. And working almost every Sunday we get together and work on the game. So.
Cool. And speaking of, like, you know, as you said, coming together and working on the game, could you tell us a little bit about the origins of your group, how everyone came together, and what, I guess, motivated you all to create this awesome title?
So I've been interested in games as long as I can remember. I got a VIC-20 when I was 13 years old and taught myself to program and typed in all the programs from the magazines back then. And then met friend Nick. We worked together at a job, and we both have a love of games, and we decided to start making games. So over the years, him and I've known him about 15 years now. So over the years, we've made several small games. Nothing ever kind of that we finished or polished. And then I got married, and it so happens that my brother-in-law is an artist, and he used to work in the game industry. So kind of all the elements were right. We just kind of started talking about stuff, and he wanted to work on something outside of his day job, and we wanted to do something, so it all just came together.
Awesome. And then, of course, as with, achieving anything in life, there's always, your hardest struggles and also your greatest achievements to go with them. What would you say was probably your biggest hurdle and yet your greatest accomplishment in developing this game? Well,
probably being able to stay focused on getting one thing done. I mean, we've always got lots of ideas, and so we've got sort of a queue of like 10 other games we want to make. So you're always tempted to move on to that other thing. And there's definitely, developing a game, you kind of hit these points where you're really struggling with one particular aspect of the game, and it's not disheartening, but it can be, you kind of have to just power through. So I think getting through those moments and really staying focused on getting the game done and not being distracted by other things, and then also kind of being able to limit the scope. I mean, any game, you can think of a million ideas, and they won't always make the game better. So it's like really, of those million ideas you've got, narrowing it down to those things that really will make the game good, and being kind of brutal with yourself and allowing yourself to say, nope, that's a terrible idea, or even things that are great ideas but that might be really hard. Mm-hmm. So we really have been focused on trying to finish the game, and I think probably the highlight has really been this last week, putting the game on green light, seeing the response from the community, and then being here and just seeing people play the game. And it's amazing when you've worked on something for so long to have someone play the game and turn to you and say, wow, this is great. It's really a great feeling.
Mm-hmm. And also, speaking about the development of the game, could you tell us a little bit about either what kind of programming languages or software that you use in creating it?
Sure. Well, so we're using Unity. Actually, the very first the version of the game that I did for the game jam was in Java. And then we very first started working on it, we were working on Java, and then I decided, I think maybe getting this to another platform like iOS might be a good idea, because I think it's well-suited for a mobile environment. It's a sort of a quick-playing game. You can finish a dungeon in maybe 30 to 40 minutes, so it's kind of well-suited for that medium. So we kind of looked around at what options were available, and we decided to do it on Unity so that we could release both on iOS, on PC pretty easily.
Very nice, very nice. And then lastly, for any of our fans who have already heard of you and they want to stay in touch and, you know, support your development, or for any of our newcomers, do you have a website, a Facebook, or Twitter where we can reach you out, or maybe even another Kickstarter?
Actually, we have all three. So we've got the main website is WeSlayMonsters.com, and then you can follow us on Twitter at WeDesignGames.
Awesome. Well, that pretty much concludes this interview here. Again, we appreciate your time talking with us about We Slay Monsters. We've had a great time so far at SGC from 2014, and we hope to see you next year, all right? Catch you later.